If you want to reconcile job creation, strategic autonomy, and sovereignty, and low carbon emissions, there is nothing more sustainable and reliable than nuclear energy. Emmanuel Macron. Today I'll be talking about the American Nuclear Society and how similar 501c3 organizations can engage in political communication. Over the last months, I have done extensive research on the American Nuclear Society and how they are able to expand their communication channels. I will be first going over the American Nuclear Society, their current communication channels, and how they can engage in political communication and why it is so important that they do. The main goal of the ANS, according to their website, is to accomplish a world that has fully unlocked the potential of the atom for human use and to preserve our own planet. Today, the ANS has over 10,000 members, including engineers, nuclear physicists, scientists, educators, and students working in nuclear science across 50 countries, all to accomplish the organization's visions. Some of the key aspects in accomplishing their goals include collaboration and teamwork, fostering partnerships across disciplines, industries, and global borders to advance nuclear knowledge, as well as education and outreach. Committed to education and outreach, promoting public understanding of nuclear science and technology while supporting the development of the next generation of nuclear professionals. My next main point is the ADS and their current communication channels. So first, the ADS communication channels, such as their magazine, The Nuclear News, is a form of environmental journalism, communicating news about nuclear news in terms of developments, legislations, updates and research, and the adoption of nuclear power across the globe. Another communication channel used by the ANS is their social media, Facebook, YouTube, and their X social media, formerly known as Twitter, used by the ANS to alert, amplify, or engage their audience in their organization. Finally, another communication channel used by the ANS is their youth outreach, which they have three separate ways of doing so. They are involved in hosting Boy Scouts, nuclear science merit badge workshops, the Nuclear Ambassadors Program, as well as the High School Acceleration Program for high schooler students who are interested in nuclear fusion and nuclear science and want to find career in that aspect. All these communication channels emphasize the goals of the ANS, promoting knowledge about nuclear society for all ages through different channels. However, what is missing is for a way for the average day person to be directly involved in the organization, being able to promote and adopt nuclear energy. Expanding their communication channels to involve political communication would allow for more involvement from the everyday person, as well as increasing the likelihood of adopting legislation that fits with the ANS and their goals of promoting nuclear energy and the adoption of nuclear energy to preserve our planet, as well as to better the quality of life of humans on Earth. Which leads me to my third and final point. How can the ANS adopt a political communication channel? As stated before, the main objective of the American Nuclear Society is to promote the nuclear technology and the peaceful use of it, such as energy, medicine, healthcare, agriculture, and space exploration. So endorsing political candidates that reflect their views and values would be in line with their goals of their organization. However, the biggest issue in being able to do political communication is the type of organization the ANS is. It is a 501c3 organization and is barred by federal law from being able to participate directly into political communication. So it would seem like a moot point. However, there is a way around this. A 501c4 organization, on the other hand, can be involved in political communication, promoting legislation, endorsing candidates, and stuff. So, the ANS, even though it is a 501c3 organization, can directly work with a 501c4 organization. They can either be a partnership with an already existing 501c4, or they can create a separate legal entity that is just involved around political communication and is completely legal as long as both organizations are completely separate. A 501c3 can even work in tandem with one another as long as both organizations are separate legal entities. A 501c4 can even grant a loan and money to a 501c4 organization for non-partisan election activities. Meaning, as long as the 501c4, their political communication channel, is not discriminating against Republicans or Democrats and is just giving money or endorsing candidates that are reflective of their values and promoting nuclear energy, they can both. This is completely legal and completely above board. This in turn would allow the ANS to work with an organization that can educate policymakers on the state and federal level about nuclear legislations, counter false information about nuclear science promoted by politicians, put pressure on politicians to adopt more pro-humanitarian nuclear energy policies, and even endorse candidates who promote the use of nuclear energy. Unfortunately, we live in a post-Citizens United versus FTC world, where corporations like ExxonMobil are allowed to engage in political communication, allowed to give money directly to candidates to support their agenda, while meanwhile actual environmental organizations that are labeled as 501c3s like the ANS are barred from being able to engage in political communication or endorse certain policies by default. That is why any environmental organization that is labeled as a 501c3 and is legally barred from doing political communication should consider adopting this method, as it is completely outrageous that ExxonMobil, Shell, all these fossil fuel corporations are allowed to infect environmental policy, but actual organizations that their whole point and specialty is around environmental policy are completely barred and kicked from our political system, which hopefully addresses any moral concerns for any environmental organization and hesitancy to engage in political communication.